Welcome to What the Flick, everybody. Robert Abele, Ben Mankiewicz, discussing Fargo Episode 5. Is that right?
5? Yes.
Gift of the Magi. Could have been called Rendezvous with Destiny. I think that certainly would have been also. So let's start with that. Let's talk about Bruce Campbell playing
Ronald Reagan. Which, did you pick out right away that he was playing Reagan? As soon as you see a guy speaking in a room like that?
No, because I guess we heard it first.
Yeah.
Right. And because it's interesting, you know, he does capture some of Reagan's essence. There's no question. It's a good job. But he makes no effort on the voice, which is sort of, you know, it's an unmistakable voice. So I would say I was thrown a little bit by the lack of a voice, but by the end of it, I was fully into it.
And I was guessing he wasn't trying to do a full-on impersonation.
No, he didn't.
It's just one of the most
overdone
impersonations all the time, and people always do the head shake too.
Yeah, there was something, but maybe it's because we heard it first before seeing it.
Yeah,
because it didn't sound like Reagan.
And then you hear the shining city on the hill line, you go, oh, it's Reagan.
It's Reagan, right. And he, but that said, it's good, and I got used to it. I got comfort. And you're right, it's clearly a decision. I mean, I'm going to guess. I'm just making stuff up now. I'm going to guess he tried it, maybe even with it, and they were like. You know, and he's like, no, I don't want to do this.
Well, you got to figure it's a show that has thought about accents a lot.
Totally.
So they're taking each performance and going a little less, a little more.
Right, they weren't like, he's not doing Reagan, you know?
Right.
But he was pretty good, and the scene in the urinal
is great.
Is really one of the great television scenes.
Because it gets at one of the things that we always, heard about Reagan was that he would kind of conflate real things with movies.
Right, and here's not even a real movie. I love that they both at the beginning of the show, the first scene to episode 1,
right.
That's a fake movie.
Yeah.
Right? And then this Operation Eagle's Nest.
Yes. Bob Stack on loan from
Cellstick. Oh my God, it's the best line. And then we were to go rescue Jimmy Whitmore.
Jimmy Whitmore, yes.
I think Lorraine Day was in this made-up movie too. Yeah.
And then on top of that, you get that great moment where like Patrick Wilson tries to like open up and say like, how are we going to solve the country? And then he just kind of doesn't say anything, and walks away. Yes. Yeah, which I think says everything you need to know about politics.
Right, about Reagan, and also like because you see like a good guy, Nick Offerman's character.
Yeah.
Like people got moved by Reagan. It's a great speech about how we're going to be great again, and it's going to be okay, and I'm going to take care of you, and there's nothing an American can't do, and you're like, yeah, that's right. Wait, what? Why?
Right. I mean, that was the election in a nutshell, right? It was like, cause it was like Reagan's an actor, and then you meet the charisma, and you're like, wow.
Right, totally. And he wouldn't want to shake his hand, but they did. But then in a specific conversation, Patrick Wilson gets the, wait, what?
Right.
Wait.
The emptiness.
Yeah, the emptiness.
Yeah.
So that was great stuff. Then we had
bookended by action scenes.
Right.
Yeah.
Real the violence that of course is coming. It being Fargo, and we got it. I didn't expect it there the first time.
No, that was a genuinely shocking ambush.
Right. The zoning commissioner taking one in the head, and then
one of the Kitchen brothers going.
Excuse me. Yeah, but we were seeing guys go down right and left.
Right.
Yeah. And there was there's a mystical badass quality to the Kitchen brothers. I mean, they apparently, they can hold a sawed-off shotgun with one hand, but they're very accurate.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I like that we're left thinking that Bruce. I'm sorry, Bruce. I'm getting my actors confused. Brad Garrett's character, the Kansas City
Joe Bulow.
Yeah. That we think he gets away, and then we find out later. As soon as you see that box in front of Mike Milligan in the hotel room, you're thinking,
I didn't. I mean, I knew it was somebody, but I couldn't figure out who it was. But it should have, because Brad Garrett did a great job of looking like, oh, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Even though he's got a shotgun, and
Sure.
the Hansi is, he's 50 feet away, and he's got a knife, right? But I guess that's we know
all he needed.
We know how that ends.
Yeah.
So that, but both really good scenes, and later in describing the death, the Hansi, that's his name, right? I'm getting that.
It might be Hansi. I think it's
Hansi. Hansi is on the Howard Stern show. That's one of the whackbacks. So,
yeah.
But Hansi says, it's like, how'd it go today? Killed some, lost some. Yeah.
Right.
So that was all good, and then we learn of Dodd's true evility.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, there's the inference that
The inference, and she made that comment a couple episodes back. She made that kind of sexual comment to her dad, kind of like snarky sexual comment, and then like there's just that their scene this episode was kind of like it pretty much made it clear that he did something.
Yeah, and also he says, when you're a kid you get spanked, but when you're a grown up, and I was like, oh no, and he's like, you get the fist, and you're like, oh good, great, he's only gonna hit her.
Right. But also the mom finds out about Rye, what happened to Rye, and
right,
they have
but doesn't find the truth out.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But there's a great moment there when he says the butcher from Laverne.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, they call him the butcher from Laverne.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Poses as a butcher, but he's really a hitman.
Yeah, that was a great touch. And then not Dodd's kid, Bear's kid gets to go on the kill. And I have to admit, when he walked into the butcher shop, I was really hoping. I mean, there's so many bodies follow this show, and death is often treated so kind of cavalierly. But I was really hoping that the girl wouldn't.
Yeah, totally.
I was really hoping that
he wouldn't. Yeah. That he wouldn't overcome what was.
Because this is a show that's either going to if the girl's going to start talking about existentialism early on, the joke is either that she's going to be killed right away as soon as he walks in the door, or not. And thankfully there was a connection with books with the kid and he couldn't do it, but then things go bad anyway.
Right, connection with and Rocky, which was a nice conversation.
Yes.
There. That was good and very believable. You knew he wouldn't be able to handle that or do it right, and that scene went believably.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah.
And
then we find out it's an accurately titled episode, because I remember I didn't know the title of the episode until I was watching it, until after I watched it, and when they got to the point where they're Kirsten Dunst and they're having their conversation, I thought, this is so O. Henry. This is like right, she does the one thing and then he does the
right,
and it's the gift.
And his frustration of he's still so polite.
Yes.
Thanks, sweetie. That's great.
Let's
but
get out
the
of here.
butcher shop burned down, and the men came to kill me. 2 of them, and I killed maybe 2 of them, certainly 1 of them. So we should go. Yeah. But thanks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, no, that was handled nicely.
And then also just with the way it ended with the cops. With the cops arriving, and they did expertly figure it out. I almost thought they pieced it together a little too quickly. Like seemed like there were other possibilities other than them getting it really exactly right, except for the aliens.
I had a concern last episode that when Patrick Wilson, when he figures out that the real story with the butcher and his wife, and they don't confess. As a cop, don't you go ahead and either bring them in or put somebody on a detail that protects them? You don't allow it to get to the point where he's attacked at the butcher shop. So I kind of thought that was a bit off, and obviously it helped in terms of giving an action scene for the writers. But I was glad to see that the cops actually show up at the end for. And
it'll be interesting to see how they deal. Great, Ted Danson, a terrific scene. I thought, explaining why he's a bad father being clearly a very good father, while being a great father. Yeah. I don't know what to do, and I expect I'm like, no, you're doing it. You're fine. Yeah. You win. This is it.
Right.
This is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And who are we leaving out? Oh, so we gotta. I don't know what's happening. I don't like it right now. But I get that it will probably, Hansi looked up, he sees the light, the aliens.
Oh yeah, the drawing of a UFO.
And Molly has the drawing, so we're still
wondering where this is.
And they even ask, why did or Kirsten Dunst asked, why did he had his own car? Why did he stop in the middle of the road? And that's why he stopped in the middle of the road. Right.
Somebody's being taken up by a spaceship.
Oh, you think somebody's going to go?
We're just, somebody's going to be taken up by a spaceship by the end of this season. That has to happen.
And we also learned that the Gerhardts can't. Oh, there were 3. Oh no, that was the previous episode where the ambush of Otto.
Yeah.
But also we see the divide in the Gerhardt family is unsustainable because Bear and Dodd don't like each other, and that's clearly an okay guy. He wants his kid, for a gangster, but they probably just kill other gangsters.
Well, and now Dodd's daughter is a mole.
Right.
For Mike Milligan.
Right, but Dodd wants his kid to go to college. He doesn't want him any part of that. And he says, look, we all have to suffer the consequences for what we do, meaning you're going too far. And he knows that story about Rye is nonsense.
Yeah.
This is a guy who just wants things to continue as they were, and he wants to eat chicken off the bone, if that's indeed chicken. Or what's the bread they're eating? It must be some Minnesota or Fargo thing.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. But anyway, great stuff. Jean Smart's so great.
Oh no, she's headed to an Emmy.
Yeah, really. She's headed to an Emmy, but I mean there are a lot of people here who are headed for nominations anyway. I mean, who's his wife, with the cancer and the. She's
oh yeah, from How I Met Your Mother. I don't know the actress's name, but she's very good.
And she's getting, and she's clearly. Good news is it appears she's getting the actual.
Drug, yes.
Drug and not the. I mean, that scene from the previous episode was just so special. Yeah. Well, as long as it's not attacking me. Well, it's not really attacking me. It's just attacking your body. Yeah. Well, if not good, if by not good, if getting worse, you mean that the cancer is spreading, then yes. I mean,
it's the conversation we all,
Yeah, and I mean, but also to me, it's a 55-year-old doctor in 1979. That's their bedside manner. Like that's what a doctor then. That's how they go.
Right.
Anyway, great stuff. I love it. Can't wait for next week. Glad I finally caught up. Thanks for watching.